विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।
Namaskar. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all at the 10th Elets Knowledge Exchange Summit, Day 2. The theme of the Day 2 of Knowledge Exchange Summit is Smart Cities and Urban Development. And for the opening session, we have a very special guest from the government of Uttar Pradesh. I welcome none other than Dr. Kajal, who is Mission Director of State Smart Cities, Uttar Pradesh, and also Director of Urban Local Bodies in Uttar Pradesh. Ma'am, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us and sparing time from your busy schedule for today's session.
Thank you, Arpit. A very good morning to all of you.
So, opening session of Day 2 has a theme: creating smart, sustainable, accessible, and livable cities. So, we'll have this very interactive discussion with Dr. Kajal about her views on the topic today. And during whole day, we'll have very interesting sessions on digital public enterprises through technological innovations, managing future cities, challenges, opportunities, and best practices. We also have a special address by senior officials from Government of UP, Government of Rajasthan, and at the end of the day, we'll have an award ceremony where we'll be felicitating some of the innovative and best practices from various state governments. So, for opening remarks by Dr. Kajal, I request, ma'am, your thoughts about the topic that is creating smart, sustainable, accessible, and livable cities. What do you think?
Thank you, Arpit. First of all, I'm very pleased to be here with all of you today. And I think it's a wonderful collaboration that you have created, Elets has created. And everybody gets an opportunity to talk about what they are doing and how we can learn from each other, which is a very, very important, critical need of the hour. Regarding smart cities mission, I would say that this is something, as we all understand, that by 2050 70% of the world's population will be living in the urban areas. Currently for Uttar Pradesh, I can say, although our urbanization levels are less than the national average, but by 2050 this is going to be a big change. So that is something that we need to see, that how we can, when we talk about that the cities are the engines of the growth, how we can get the best out of it. So regarding the smart cities, I think this is something which has come up like a very, very, it's a new thing. It's a blessing in a way that whatever expectations, if you go today around and you ask our citizens what they really want, so immediately they will tell you that we need, a pollution free, congestion free, with basic amenities, which are sanitation, water supply, and their public grievance redressal system to be in place, and we should be dealing with them in a very prompt manner. So some of the expectations are very clear, and they want it to be done, and government is very very keen right now to be able to live up to those expectations that public have. So, Smart Cities Mission provides us a platform from where we can really be doing all these services, which should reach to them in a very fast, in a very prompt manner, with all the transparency and accountability that we all want to have in the system, and it should be provided. So, as a Smart Cities Mission Director of the biggest state of the UP of India, I always tell my people around that, what UP is to India, India is to the world. So if you really want to make a change in the world, UP has to change. So Uttar Pradesh has a very, very big responsibility that if we are able to make a big change, because in the 10 smart cities that are we are having right now, 1.33 crore population is living in those cities. So it's the numbers are huge, which we are dealing with, and I believe that we have a lot of challenges that come with this big mission. The expectations are high, but our infrastructure is not as strong as we would like to have it. Our budget has, because of the recent this pandemic of COVID, has gone down, and there are some issues that we are grappling with them right now. But at the same time, I believe that there is a light, there is a vision of hope, and with all the people like those who are going to talk here, and otherwise also those who are working in their fields of urban development, I believe these are the leaders in themselves, and they are doing their best to provide the services that a citizen in our democracy should be able to get. So in the coming times, I feel there will be a lot of challenges, like how to handle the data, how to be ensuring privacy of the citizens, and how to deliver, how we can make out of how we can have the solutions from this complex data that we have right now. So we will be having a lot of huge big data coming our way, and we need to find solutions. So that is something we are working upon, and as we talk right now, I can give you some of the projects that UP is envisioning, and what UP's vision is there, so that we can tell that yes, government is trying and doing its best to provide its citizens with the best of the services. So I wish a very pleasant day ahead to all of the speakers, to the audience, and I believe this platform will provide a great platform for all of us to learn from each other, and replicate some of the best practices, and maybe we'll have some ideas for innovations, and we will be applying for our smart cities in future. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank, thank you, Dr. Kajal. Let me also welcome here. We have been joined by Dr. Garima Mittal, Chief Executive Officer of Faridabad Smart City Limited. Thank you for joining, ma'am. Welcome. And Dr. Sheel Gule, General Manager E-Governance, Nagpur Smart and Sustainable City Development Corporation Limited, NSSC DCL. Welcome, sir. Yes, so, as we were discussing with Dr. Kajal about the topic that is creating smart, sustainable, accessible, and livable cities, and Dr. Kajal told us that UP has 10 smart cities, and all of them are implementing some or other projects for the welfare of the citizens. Ma'am, how are smart cities of Uttar Pradesh working in the direction of inclusivity, livability, and resilience?
Well, to begin with, I would say that earlier we had 10 smart cities, in which we had the central and the state sponsored component. To expand this, you can understand that state government is so much committed right now that we were left out with our 7 nagar nigams. So state has decided to provide its own funds and make them and bring them under the smart cities mission as well. So that is the first step, to provide the budget for the smart solutions to the left out, which were not taken up by the government of India. So state government itself has taken up those nagar nigams. At the same time, all the projects that we are developing, we have given a standing instruction that we would be having a project only if it there has to be clear cut for regarding, for example, gender. One of the things that we say that women should be included. So, for example, you are developing a multi-level city parking component. So, how your project is going to enable women, that sort of a thing has to come out very clearly in all the projects that we are going to sanction. And all the CEOs of the smart cities mission have been informed that they have to include people, those who are left out, and their project has to speak for them and tell us that how they are going to include those vulnerable populations. Similarly, we have also put up the clause of sustainability, that it has to be after like few years, when this budget is over, which state government is providing, or the central and the state government is pooling, then how you are going to make this project sustainable, what is your revenue model. So those kind of questions we are asking right away, so that there is not a problem later on. And it has to be sustainable in the sense that if, it has to generate its own resources, because otherwise that project will become defunct. So that is something that we have already put the standing instructions to all the projects that are being developed right now.
Right, ma'am, right. And ma'am, you were also talking about a lot of initiatives by urban department and also the budget of the urban department. Ma'am, can you also share some of the best practices carried out by the Directorate of Urban Local Bodies during COVID crisis?
COVID has been, I would say, like, in a way, it's a blessing that, to increase the transparency and accountability. It was like a good time for all of us, just because otherwise, there is a lot going on. But this pandemic gave us some time to pause and think. So what we could do was, I would say that some of the systemic reforms that I always believe are better, because that what makes something institutionalized, and that is what we really need to work upon. So we started working upon, and we created this Directorate of Urban Local Bodies is primarily responsible for the establishments. So all the promotions, transfers, and other stuff are being handled at the directorate. So first thing was to create the e-office, so that the citizens have we understand if there is some application has come to us, and we need to understand that where is it lying, for how long it has been lying, and what action has been taken. So those kind of questions, otherwise you were manual system, you are looking into the files and you don't know where are they and what's happening. So first thing that I started was the e-office. So we have created the e-office, and now we are able to see that how many PUCs are pending at what level, and then the percentage that is being disposed of every day. So there is a now, I would say, it has improved our efficiency, and also at the same time transparency and accountability has increased. Along with that, we created some of the MIS systems for generating reports, collecting reports, and making sense out of that data. Otherwise, this whole system was all by emails and offline methods. So that was really difficult. So we utilized this time, we created those things. And also at the same time, I am very pleased to say that we would be the first directorate which has been taken up, which has taken this initiative of online pension system. So our whole pension will get online in the next 2 months. So and recently we have been awarded Scotch Silver Governance Award for direct benefit transfer that we did during COVID pandemic, and created this informal database of all the people, those who required that small amount, but it was important for their livelihood. So that is something we have been doing, and we are not stopping here. We are creating all the possible ways of bringing transparency and accountability in the system by the use of technology.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. As we know, you have to leave a little early. So my last question to you for this session is, with the digital transformation in India, as you rightly said, smart cities need to upgrade to the latest technologies for effective service delivery. So how is the government and private partnership helping in this cause?
See, technology is rapidly changing. That is the biggest challenge that we see right now. And PPP is not something new. We have been doing it for so many decades now. So I think it's a collaboration. It's a team effort, right? Government and private sector both have to come together. And the majority of these technologies are available with the private parties. So that's why we are collaborating, seeking the best possible technology which is available right now, and then seeing and having that vision for like what's going to be there in the future. So something around that you have to envision that what would be changing in the coming next 2 decades, so that you plan accordingly. So all the I mean majority of the projects, I would say, they are on either PPP mode, or they are on you are tendering them out. So private parties are a very important players in this whole smart cities mission, and I think that's the way forward. You have to now use the technology to be able to provide these services as efficiently as you can.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And with this, we would like to thank you for joining in the inaugural session of 10th Knowledge Exchanges Summit. And we would like to present you a certificate as a token of gratitude for joining us.
Thank you so much, Alfred. It's always a pleasure, and my best wishes to all the other speakers. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. And we'll continue the conversation with the Dr. Garima Mittal and Dr. Sheel Guhe. Namaskar, ma'am. Namaskar, sir. Thank you for joining.
Yes, sir. Good
And
morning.
good morning. So, ma'am, as the topic suggests, Dr. Garima, creating a smart, sustainable, accessible, and livable cities. So, I would like to understand your experience of implementing smart city projects in Faridabad, and how has been a smart city, Faridabad, striving to become a livable city. Dr. Garima, am I audible?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Arpit. And sorry, I could not get your question. In case you can just repeat it in brief.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, I just want to understand your experience in Faridabad of implementing various projects. How Smart City Faridabad is gearing up towards becoming a livable city.
Thank you for your question. My experience at Faridabad Smart City has been very different from the working in other government departments because I mean the use of technology and the relevance for the data and how it can be used. That kind of insights are probably not there at present in many of the departments. And because the Faridabad Smart City already have an integrated control and command center running 24 into 7 for last 6 months. So probably now we are in a state where we have lots of data and we are trying to mine out this data and use it for the better good. In fact, in the next PMC, we are planning to even have a data scientist on our roles. So these kind of things have been very, motivating and also motivating for the young officers. And we also personally, we have lots of growth in such kind of atmospheres. Also, I would like to thank the Smart City Mission Government of India, the hand-holding, the conferences, the learning together, the lighthouse effect, and the orientation towards evolving, making mistakes, and then learning from each other has been tremendous. And in fact, COVID has shown us what is the strength of smart cities, where our ICCCs have played a significant role. We have learned from the national team and also from the international team. It has been fantastic with the webinars happening regularly. We learning from each other, and also real time we were changing our strategies as and what we were learning. So I personally strongly believe that smart city is the future of India, and we should look forward towards an Indian smart cities and not just a replica of any European or Western smart city, because we have our specific problems. We have our specific aspirations, and if we learn to cater to them, and we make mistakes, learn from them, learn from each other, probably the smart city will be able to give you a model where they will prove to be a lighthouse for the other cities, and for the other cities how they plan their urban planning. So I think smart city is the way ahead, and we should be focusing on lots of policy making. We should make on lots of We are making lots of databases regarding the vendors, the kind of projects we can take, and learning from each other. Conferences are happening. So I think it's a pretty, in fact, it is a smart thing to do when we, and the leadership at the center has been fantastic. So the hand holding has been always there. And that's it, I feel, for the smart city. My experience has been really wonderful.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And you rightly said leadership plays a very important role while you work in a government system. And thankfully, we have very experienced, very senior officers working with the Urban Development Ministry, that is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and the Smart Cities Mission. So thanks to the leadership. So Dr. Sheel Gule, you come from Nagpur. Nagpur has done tremendous work in smart cities, and we have also witnessed the growth of Nagpur Smart City since its inception. So, how is the digital transformation posing a boon for making cities smarter, safer, and resilient? What are your views?
Yes, as in Nagpur, actually, there are some challenges as the city is concerned. We are like facing the major issue when we have a survey from Nagpur city citizens. So we have give me a minute. So we are facing and they are unsafe. They are feeling unsafe in the city. The main challenge then while they are traveling through a road. So what we are proposing safe concept vehicle free zone. So we identified few areas, and with the help of police department, we make those roads as a vehicle free zone. And yes, we receive a lot of good responses from the citizens of Nagpur, and they are now happily walk through those roads, having shopping and everything. So yes, we are promoting more and more vehicle free zones. We are promoting at the same time cycling. And yes, even in the NMC, Nagpur Municipal Corporation, we mandate each one of at least once in a week or once in a month, we should come through cycle. And for that, actually, we are in developing an app for the cycling and walking, and we are also providing some reward system into that app. We are trying to collaborate with some good malls, some few big shops, so for the rewards to the citizens. And also we are launching a grievance app in this month itself from the Nagpur Smart City, so that if anyone is having any complaint, or if they are feeling unsafe or whatever they want to suggest us, so through that grievance app, we should know, and we will directly interact with the citizens of Nagpur. And the main purpose, we are trying to build a trust relationship with all the Nagpur citizens. Apart from that, yes, we already have 10 environmental sensors at different locations in Nagpur. So we are just yesterday, actually, Kunal Kumar sir visited Nagpur. They are with us for the whole day. And yes, we are now collaborating with NIRI, as we are taking being in Nagpur and NIRI is in Nagpur. So we are collaborating with NIRI. And as we are trying, we are using those environmental sensors data. And yes, we will see in which zone of Nagpur there is more pollution is there. And with the help of NIRI, yes, we are trying to sort out those issues as well. And apart from that, we are going to monetize VMS, and utilizing those funds, we are trying to utilize those funds into the environment to make a good environment, and yes, for the safety of citizens. Apart from that, yes, as I have a very good team of development, means good people, engineers with me. So we are trying to develop one dashboard, BI dashboard, which gives where we are incorporating all the 60 modules of Nagpur Municipal Corporation, as well as our ICT components, from which we can take a decision, or the authorities can take the decision from those dashboard. So yes, it's in progress, and we are developing in-house. And at the same time, from the last 2 years, we have a data of from police department, how they challan. We are also looking for the crime cases, how our surveillance system helps Nagpur police department. Is crime, we can find out what is the effect on citizens while we are e-challan we are sending, when we are using all the crime cases to investigate. So now we are analyzing, and yes, I have developed one software for the police department, and we are analyzing those data, and definitely we are giving them that software free of charge. And from that app itself, from that software, they will get an actual idea, yes, uh, how our city before and after, means before pushing or implementing this all the surveillance system, how the people behaves, and after in place, or we are implementing all the surveillance system in place, after that the feeling of citizens, is the crime less or again more, is the traffic rules break in the different conditions, are they reduced or not. And from that analysis, yes, we will try to use more IoT components for the Nagpur citizens. Yeah, this is what we are doing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So, taking thoughts from your inputs, I would like to ask one question to Dr. Garima that she previously briefed about ICCC, ITMS. Ma'am, yes, digital transformation is the need of the hour, and we are gearing up towards e-governance and IT, ITAS. So, considering the shift to digital, many citizens like those elderly, migrants from the rural areas, the poor, etc., are expected to face difficulties coping up. So, how Faridabad Smart City is addressing the issue, this issue, and making citizens smart?
Uh, well, that's a good question. Thank you for that. And as of now, we have some cameras already installed at 140 places in Faridabad Smart City. And we are taking their feeds, and also for red light violation, we have specific cameras. So when we send a postal challan to their home, I think with the photographs, even a elderly who's not digitally, educated child, at least they can see the photograph and they can understand, yes, there was a violation, because we send a series of photographs. So things like that, they make the technology very easy, and it is, I think, very commonsensical for anyone to understand. That was the one point. And the secondly, during COVID, we had few seminars with the RWAs. And these seminars were very simple, because now most of the people, they use WhatsApp and they use Zoom meetings. And it's very common for the children also, because they have their online classes. So at the click of a button, you can actually connect to the ICCC and talk to the chief engineer of MCF, giving you the latest instructions of the government directly to the RWAs. And it's a responsibility of the RWAs to actually communicate it to the general public in their area. So it seems the technology is there. How we can utilize it for the elderly, for the uneducated or digitally compromised people, I think it's very simple. It's just the orientation that we have to change. And as it's rightly said, technology is best when it works in the background. So if we do something like that, I probably think this should not be an issue. When they see the advantages from the technology pouring in, everyone will like to learn at least the basics, and I think that should suffice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Otherwise, when
And
you asked me for the general public, what we are focusing on in smart city is the general infrastructure, general IT infrastructure. We may not be directly actually going to the end user. Like we are planning for a water SCADA, we are working on street light SCADA. So there we will be working on how the water from the rainy wells, that is the water picked from Yamuna, and how it goes to individual sectors. So basically, we're not going to the end user. We are more into the distribution, water thefts, and leakages. So these kind of information will be more useful because they will be data based, they will be regular, monthly, yearly data which we can compare year upon year, and this will be very useful for the decision makers. So I think it will be an input for the administrators, for the decision makers to have a more informed decision, and eventually it will help everyone on the ground, maybe elderly, a child, maybe a digitally uneducated person. Lastly, I would like to highlight a very simple low hanging fruit that we an experiment at Faridabad Smart City. We have our cameras up and running, and when this data was coming, one day we saw that there was a heavy rain a day before, and when we went to the ICCC, we saw few of our sites showing real water logging. I mean, we can plainly see that these areas need attention. So a call to the MCF commissioner, and he was kind enough to send in an operator who could actually jot down those locations and give it to the concerned XCN. Doing this in the rainy season of this 2021, we were able to actually formulate a detailed inventory of places where we need to focus in every rainy season. And when we had a word with the concerned XCN, he told us that earlier we used to get this information from the public, and now that we already have this information, we can focus on only on 20% of area and get 80% of output. So I think that's what you call smart. That is what you call output oriented, and what is the input from the Indian smart cities. So I may not be completely into digital thing. We have lots of human resource. So we use data only to plug in the gaps to add a value. So in the long term, I'm very sure everyone on the ground, digitally oriented or maybe a bit challenged, will be helped by all these technological interventions.
Thank you for sharing this thought. I think peer learning can help, and other smart cities can also learn this idea. Because as far as I know, Faridabad city has its own challenges. There is the old Faridabad city. There are sectors. There is new Faridabad town, and all of them have different kind of challenges. So you talked about the data. So my next question to Dr. Sheel would be from the data. So data security is something which is very, very important these days. And you represent e-governance in Nagpur Smart City. You are GM e-governance as well. So what are your thoughts how Nagpur Smart City is securing the data and working towards the data safety?
Yeah. We are actually working on open data portal right now, and yes, we are also ask our PMO and technical team to work more on data security concerns, and yes, through DMAF. Uh, Yeah, actually, we are working on collecting data from the various department of NMCs, and yes, we are trying to mobilize all those data. And yes, like Dr. Garima ma'am just shared, we are also utilize like in the COVID time, in the even when there was a heavy rain in Nagpur, yes, in the few minutes we are educating our NMC people to watch and to check all the city conditions from the COC itself. And yes, we utilize where the people gather more and where the people are not using masks. And at the rainy season, we are, yes, within a 5 minutes, we provide services through COC. We direct NMC people to go there. And yes, citizens are very happy that they get a service in a few minutes. So so this is how we are actually utilizing our data.
Okay. So same question to Dr. Garima ma'am. Huge amount of data is generated in smart cities, either through the ICCC, ITMS, also a lot of complaints related to general queries also arises in smart cities and municipal corporations. So how is Faridabad Smart City working towards the data safety and security?
It's actually a very timely question for us because we have now a mine of a huge amount of data, and it's very difficult for us to mine it out. And we had put in a request to the Smart City Missions Government of India to actually show us the way. So they have helped us in two ways. One is they have given us a few fellows. They are one of them is a Mexican citizen, and two of them have been like data scientists and people who have been working on the apps, and they have been sent through the government of India. They are working here in Smart City. We are giving access to some of our data sets to them, and they are in the process of making some reasonable tool which will be out by March next year. So we have hope spent there. Let's see if we can have some good app coming on transport and mobility, because very intelligent and very experienced people are working on it. So that is one of our hopes. And secondly, right now, Faridabad Smart City is one of the cities selected for by the World Economic Forum for the policy implementation. So they have few draft policies related to data, which we need to try and implement, and also to modify a bit if needed. And this will also be done in a month or two. And as previously mentioned, we are planning to have a data scientist in the next project management consultancy. So we will try to bring in the best of best and try to understand how we can use this data. In fact, it's very difficult, and it's very it's there are always questions involved when we share data because about the security, the privacy. So we now have a data policy, and to my knowledge, there are 17 cities in India who have their own city data policy. So our city data policy has been approved by the board of directors, and we have categorized our data into 4 or 5 types, which includes the negative list, which will never be shared, restricted access, which will be accessed only through a login, and positive data, anonymous data, which can be shared to the people interested in the startups, to the public. So I think when you ask me sustainable data usage, probably the data policy is the way ahead. And as I'm learning in the international forums, we are still pretty we're pretty much in the infancy stage of the data policy. We need to understand more, learn more from the cities like Tokyo, Amsterdam, and World Economic Forum site is giving us all these pretty many insights, as in how they work and at what level and detailing they work. So obviously we have lots of hopes and dreams, and lots of catching up to do, but then at least we have started. So I think data policy, then having data scientists, and having the exposure to what the world is doing, and hand holding by the central government. I think maybe in a year or so, we will have something concrete about how to use the data in the Indian cities. As of now, if you ask me, we are just sending the postal challans. And postal challans have given a message to the general public that all the cameras that have been installed by the government are actually functioning, and analytics, artificial intelligence and analytics are working, and we have the pictures being sent, so they are complete evidence even in the court of law. So these kind of things are happening right now, but as I said, they are pretty much in infancy, and lots of work to do, lots of catching up to do. And I think Smart City will need few years to actually gear up to that level and be lighthouse for other cities.
Yes, correctly said. So let's also touch upon some pain points. Dr. Sheel, convergence is one word that came out of this smart cities project. A lot of projects have gone into convergence, and interdepartmental coordination came into picture. Some projects gone to Jal Nigam, some to PWD, some to development authorities, some to metro. So how are you making a balance and dealing with such challenges? What have been your experience in Nagpur? You are mute, sir.
With the actually we have developed one software Amrut, which is a safety for mobile app for women. And yes, they are utilizing for the safety purpose. So it's an actually an SCADA system for Amrut. So these are the convergence project from Nagpur Smart City.
Okay. Okay. What have been your learnings during this COVID crisis and pandemic? What kind of help Smart City Nagpur extended to its citizens?
Yes, actually, we have one. What do we say? A war room in the COC, and through that war room, actually, we call people, those who are positive or whatever. When our commissioner visits a few crowded area, so through our surveillance system, we monitor those crowded system. And yes, where we found that through COC, we keep an eye on the entire city. And at the same time, where we are finding that people are gathering, yes, through our PA system or sending our NMC people or police people, we control that. And even when the people were get positive, so we keep an eye on that area. If you see in Nagpur, we have blast from one of the area. There are some 1,000 people, more than 1,000 in the month of itself, March or April. And so we keep an complete eye from our COC. And at the same time, actually, we develop an war room. Still, we are using that war room to educate people, to monitor on them. Yes, so this is what. And we have created one dashboard from which our commissioner can take a decision how many patients found, how many are positive, how many get discharged, all those data. Even we keep an eye from we keep an eye zone wise. So we have a 10 zone in Nagpur. So yes, through those 10 zones, we keep an eye on all the COVID patients or COVID related issues.
Yes. Dr. Garima, initially when Smart City concept was introduced, so a lot of debates and discussions were there. What is actual the smart cities? Later, a clear picture came into the mind of people that it is something related to urban development and the city development. But in the unprecedented time of pandemic, it plays a very crucial role in healthcare as well. So while dealing with the COVID patients or making a coordination between the hospital, catering to telemedicine, a lot of things were done by smart cities across India. So what kind of initiatives were undertaken by Faridabad Smart City to handle this situation and manage the pandemic?
Yeah. Just let me put the context right. As administrators, what we felt was कि whenever we are in the smart cities, we just think that the data, the technology is all panacea. So we will, any problem, go back to data, go back to technology. But in a crisis like this, probably to invent and put the whole system in place would not have been possible. So the major learning from COVID for Faridabad Smart City has been data and technology is not panacea. It's only for the value addition and bridging the gaps. So I will not vouch that I have put everything on data. I have put in an app or something. We have kept things very simple, and we have just utilized the ICCC for two things. One is we have multiple dashboards coming from of the government of India, state government, and also our district data. So what we have done is we have opened all our dashboards, synchronized all of them, so we have meaningful real-time data coming to us. So that was one input. Second input was bed management, because initially when the cases were increasing, we thought that we need to have major setups for the bed management. We need to have beds in the stadium and things like that. So to monitor the same, myself being a medical doctor also, and the Commissioner Municipal Corporation is also a doctor. So we were sure that in case of crisis, a bigger crisis, we need to have crisis will be the bed management. So the bed management app was developed by Gurgaon Municipal Authority, and we had utilized the same to feed in the data. And I should tell you, feeding in the data was a challenge. Getting the data from at least 50 MOs, medical officers, was a challenge on the daily basis. And we had to work really hard, had multiple meetings with them to train them to channelize and synchronize the data so that we can have the real-time bed management data coming to us. And this was probably the bigger crisis which was expected at that time, and we were working on it. And also, when you talk about telemedicine and other helps, it was the brainchild of the CMC, Commissioner Municipal Corporation, that people are being affected psychologically. So we need to work on the psychological counseling. And because people are losing job, elderlies are feeling threatened, children are at home, and the house wives are facing so much of workload. So it's better to have a helpline. So we had a toll-free number which was available through the WhatsApp also, which was available through the website, through the app, multiple ways it was available, but it was a simple number that you have to dial, and you will connect to the trained psychologist or the psychiatric doctors, and they will be giving you a hearty, they can talk you out of it. So they will be talking at least, the average timing for that was around 15 to 20 minutes, and the maximum went to around 50 minutes. So probably in the time of distress, you need someone to listen to you, someone to agree with you, to give you the right insights. And if it is professional, nothing like it, because it's still a stigma to seek help beyond the family. I mean, to a trained psychologist. So that was one input, and initially it was much utilized. In fact, I myself called twice, and I was just checking them out how good their input is. So we have been, as doctors and as administrators, we have been very happy to include something like that. Otherwise, for telemedicine, we had 100 MBBS students from pass outs, I think, from all over the country who were there. And anyone who gives a call, it's like the first come, first serve. So any doctor who's available can pick the call and talk to you about the symptoms. But obviously, telemedicine has a limited option. So whenever you need to check your SpO2 or go to the local doctor, that was much advised. So that was about the COVID. So we understood that we have been already prepared to face a crisis a bit. And also we understood that data is not the panacea. We can only use it for the value addition and also for, plugging in the gaps. And lastly, the psychological training, I think, was a good input from the CMC, and we were able to do a good job at it. Telemedicine, yes, most of the people, most of the cities have moved to it, and we have also done a bit in it. Thank you.
Yes, and I think we all must applaud all these smart cities, Faridabad smart city, Nagpur, and all other smart cities, those who are working in this direction. And they have actually shown that in such crisis time, usually such pandemic doesn't come, but at the time of pandemic, we should work together towards a common goal. So you were talking about hospital industries. So yesterday, actually, when Nagpur GM Smart City was telling that yesterday Kunal Kumar, Joint Secretary, was there in Nagpur. So I was reading today in the morning that he has asked Nagpur Smart Cities and Municipal Corporation to develop industries, hospitals, and markets in the smart cities area. Mr. Sheel, Dr. Sheel, can you please elaborate a little on that so that we all can also know what is the thought and how Nagpur now will gear up towards this?
Yes, as you know, actually, we are developing 1,700 acres of actually ABD area. And yes, Kunal Kumar sir, when visit that, so when people will go there to how it is livable, and at the same time we have to see there are job opportunities because in the pandemic situation and in general we are facing a major challenge of unemployment. So when we are developing that 1,700 acres of area, so all the facilities should be there, like healthcare. Like we have a good malls over there, like we can name like a DMart, or we can call like Apollo, Max, healthcare should be there. So by these, if you've seen in the central India, means Nagpur is the more health city, is also named as health city from 2 to 300 kilometers from even Bhopal, from all the MP side, and even they are all visited Nagpur for the health care. So what Kunal Kumar sir suggests that yes, in the ABD area you should promote some good hospitals, so by which this our healthcare system should be more strong, and we can call some malls, some big shops over there, so by which we generate an employment also. So so they are suggesting such kind of so many ideas, and yes, we are working on it. And also they suggested some gardens, schools, and yes, through I would like to just share, actually I have we are collaborated with company, means corporate company, and yes, we are developing one, we are adapting two NMC schools, and with the help of their CSR fund, we are trying to build that NMC school at world level. Means we can say, and all the infrastructure we are developing, smart classroom, all the gardens, everything. In the Pune, there is an Bablewadi. There they have developed such a nice school. So yes, through even CSR activity, we are trying to develop all the NNC school over there. And yes, we will very soon we will call all the industries in the Nagpur smart city, and yes, we will take more such initiatives, like we can develop through NMC itself, instead of depending on some private healthcare or private schools. We can develop our schools, our healthcare system more in that ABD area at least. So yes, we are working in that direction now.
So before we wrap up, as Dr. Garima was mentioning about the global policy, ma'am, I would like to have clear understanding that there are 4 Indian cities which were selected by the World Economic Forum. Faridabad is there. Congratulations for that. There are other cities, Bangalore, Indore, and Hyderabad. So, can you give us a little brief what kind of alliances or plans would be introduced in this new global policy? What will be your inputs from Indian smart city perspective?
Arpit, I should tell you, we are in the initial stages of this alliance, and we are also in the process of understanding how will it, how will it be implemented at the ground level. As of what we understand today is we will have some policy drafts, and these policy drafts have already been made by them. It's regarding the data. So, the data privacy, the data accessibility, and things like that. So, we will be having proper drafts, and we will have to implement them for a month or so. And then we can also suggest some changes. So basically, there will be multiple workshops, and there will be multiple trainings to actually understand what needs to be done. So maybe we will be able to give you more insights only after maybe March, because by that time we would have implemented the same, understood what is acceptable to them, and how all other cities of the world, how they look at it. But then one short input that I would like to give you, and it's my final personal observation, that we have understood that at the world level we are just starting, and we need to do a lot, and that kind of an aspiration is now being developed. Like in my whole team now, they're looking forward to, like, ma'am, we were just at city data policy and we were so happy making it, and there's so much detailing that's already being done at Tokyo and some other cities, and how will we fit in. So that kind of a thought process has been started, and probably, I mean, before you do something, you have to dream, you have to hope, and I think that process is surely there. So now my team and I am also thinking that probably what we have done is just just scratching the surface, and lots needs to done. So let's see, more concrete things will come in, and as and when they come in, I think we'll be in a better shape to give you some facts.
Right. So we have just begun our journey towards urban transformation. A lot needs to be done, and it's a continuous process that will keep on going. So with this thought, I wrap up the session and close the opening session of today. I thank Dr. Garima Mittal and Dr. Sheel Gule for joining. So as a token of regards, we would like to present the certificate to you over here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Garima
Thanks a
Mittal,
lot.
Chief Executive Officer, Faridabad Smart City. Very valuable and quite interesting inputs given by you. And
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Sheel Gule, thank you for joining and sharing your first-hand experience from the Maharashtra, Nagpur Smart City.
Thank you, Arpit. Yes.
It was a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you. And audience, please stay connected. We have more sessions, more interactive sessions throughout the day. And at the end of the day, we'll have awards ceremony where we'll be felicitating some of the best practices from across India for their exemplary work. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
देश है। विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बाद के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं और ये मेरा साथ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।